Surprise, it's me. How's it going, folks? Plant Color here, coming to you not live, obviously not, using a straw and a lapel mic as my boomstick. So basically, a lot of stuff has happened recently, and I figured I'd update you all on what exactly is going on. So just to summarize, yeah. So basically, feet don't they don't normally look like that. They don't, legs aren't typically in a cast. I got this lovely vac attached to my body, which is lovely. So basically, what happened was a car accident. Luckily, I survived. I was told I was lucky that I made it, that I survived, considering how bad the accident was. But yeah, so on the 18th of September, and I may fudge the details a little bit, I'm a little out of it right now, but basically on the 18th of September, I went over to my buddy's place. We were just gonna hang out, go down to Pueblo, see what there was to do late at night. We were bored, we were gonna get a bite to eat. So driving from his place, it was around 9 p.m. when I was making a left turn. The light turned green. It was a protected green turn, right? You got the special green arrow that says, "It's safe to go for you, you can go," all that stuff. I was following all the traffic laws. I wasn't intoxicated, drunk, anything like that, driving under any influence, no distractions or anything. And then I even looked both ways before going, even though I had the green light, because I'm usually very cautious when it comes to driving, and I definitely was in this instance, but I guess it wasn't cautious enough, because as I am going into my lane, which is just past the median, that's when I got T-boned by a guy coming this way who was turning left. Now, I hadn't seen him before going into my turn because, well, he was far back, but he was going fast enough to be able to catch up to me while I was making my turn. My friend said that he was probably going like 40, 50 miles per hour, but hit right into the driver's side. The engine block got pushed. I think it was the truck's engine block got pushed into the glass. So shortly after the accident, I ended up hitting my head. The driver's side was completely crushed in. The glass was just in. The windshield was in. Everything essentially had pushed me over from the middle of the driver's seat to the center console of the car, and we got knocked so hard that it shifted from drive to neutral. So that's impressively bad. How hard we got hit. It was a scary situation. Last thing I saw before getting hit was just the front of a white truck and two headlights. It was coming too fast for me to do anything, even with my emergency maneuvers that I'm able to do and whatnot, that I have experience with being able to avoid all accidents and whatnot. That was one accident I just couldn't avoid. The other driver was just too careless, and I ended up paying for it. So the plastic, the inner plastic of the door, ended up pinning in my left foot, so I couldn't pull my left leg out. When the fire department came, they were only a minute away, so they were able to arrive really quickly. The response time was super fast, but I was stuck in the car and couldn't do a whole lot. But my buddy, he was luckily he sustained more minor injuries. Still hurt a lot for both of us, but he was still able to get out and move around, and he even made eye contact with the driver who hit us before the driver took off running. So it was a hit and run. After the firemen came in through the passenger door, and they were trying to figure out how to get me out of the vehicle because driver's side door was out of the question. There was no way they were going to get me out. Even with cutting, it would take forever because just how crushed in it was. And then passenger side seemed the best option. So I pulled my right leg over the center console, and then the fireman pushed the door aside best he could to make enough room for my left leg to pull out. But immediately after the accident, my legs were just pressed together against the center console, and I was worried because there was so much adrenaline. I didn't even know if I had legs anymore, essentially. I didn't know if I would ever be able to walk. Just seeing my legs in that position and not being able to really feel a whole lot other than just a lot of pain. But the second I tried to pull up on my left leg, I knew it was broken, which was unfortunate. But pulled myself out with the fireman's help, got me onto a stretcher, and I was cracking jokes, just trying to, keep myself alert and whatnot, just trying to stay positive. I look down at my feet and see that my left one, how when you're sitting your legs are like this, and you're kind of at rest. My left one was like that. So I was joking at the paramedics. I was saying, I don't think legs are supposed to do that, and they kind of laughed back. They were like, yeah, no, they're not supposed to do that. They got me loaded up in the back, and as we were kind of getting ready to leave, I saw my car, and I was just in complete shock that how bad it was. The picture from the news article doesn't really do it justice, I don't think. I haven't been able to go to the impound lot since I can't really go anywhere with this thing, but maybe I'll be able to get a decent picture of that sometime. But anyway, yeah, no, I was joking. I was like, you think she's gonna be seaworthy? Take her to a mechanic. Yeah, the answer was no. It's completely totaled. There's no fixing it. Can't drive it again. Even the truck that hit us, they couldn't even start the truck to pull it away to make more room between the vehicles. That's how bad it was. And my buddy was he wanted to joke about how the hazards were on for my vehicle, but yeah. So my buddy, he was pretty calm throughout the whole thing. He was able to help out with just making sure that I was okay. No bloody mouth, no bloodshot eyes. I was still conscious the whole time. Ambulance ride over was interesting. In my head the whole time I'm just thinking, I need a new car now. That's super inconvenient. Also thinking, this ride over to the hospital is going to be super expensive. I'm not going to be able to afford this. And they were just pumping me with a bunch of drugs to get rid of the pain and whatnot. It was an interesting ride. They said that I may see hallucinations because of some of the stuff that they were putting me on. But yeah, I arrived to the hospital. They were able to get a splint on. They were testing for the swelling and if I could still move my toes, which thankfully I still could. they were trying to see if, I had any neck or back injuries. So they had to roll me over back and forth, which was pretty annoying considering I had a broken leg. So rolling isn't exactly my forte right now. But yeah, then they checked the arms and whatnot, especially just this side in general for obvious reasons. I had cuts all over my arm. It's healed now. It kind of looks bad here, but this bruise is actually due to an IV that kind of got janky. But yeah, no, because when I was trying to get out, I had to press up against the center console, which had a bunch of broken glass all over it, so I had a bunch of like cuts and stuff, but they've healed now, so that's good news. I was in the hospital for 9 days. I'm still absolutely no weight bearing on my left leg. It's going to take at least 8 weeks. But while I was in the hospital that first night, they were trying to keep me awake and figuring out what all was wrong. They ended up putting me in a neck brace. And then I think it was a couple hours later, maybe just an hour later even, but they told me to watch out for if my foot got numb or tingly or felt like kind of pins and needles and whatnot, and to let them know if that happened. And I was like, okay, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think it's just a broken leg, maybe something like that. But then I started to feel it, and it was pretty scary. Starting to become numb, and then feeling pins and needles in my foot. And they checked again the swelling, and then they said, yep, it is. It was compartment syndrome, acute compartment syndrome. I have kind of a description written. It'll probably show up on screen, but basically, for compartment syndrome, it's when, for mine specifically, it's because the bones got into the compartment, the muscle, and a bunch of fluids were getting in, but they had no way of getting out, so it was just swelling and swelling, and eventually it was going to cause so much pressure that it would lead to muscle death. That part I do know. The rest of it, I may have messed up the explanation a little bit, but essentially there was so much pressure buildup and whatnot that I was at a risk for muscle death. So that would mean I wouldn't be able to move my left leg ever again. They performed emergency surgery for that, did a couple fasciotomies, and hooked me up to some wound vacs, so that could drain all the fluid out so that my leg could, still be a leg. The rest of the time I was there in the hospital, it was a slow process, but essentially I couldn't be discharged until I could prove that I could use like walkers or crutches or something, and be relatively independent with that. So spent about 9 days in the hospital for that. Got CT scan, MRI, all that stuff. We figured out that miraculously, and this may not seem so lucky, but the only thing that really suffered from the wreck was just the tib fib, those two bones, like the big shin bone and the little bone in your leg. Both of those.
Nice job.
When we were looking at the x-ray, we were joking that it looked like someone just took a hammer to a bag of pretzels, pretty much. That's an apt description, although not a pleasant image. But yeah, they figured that out, got me on some pain meds, put me in this cast, and then after they performed the surgery to seal up my leg, which was fortunate, because if the swelling hadn't gone down enough, and they wouldn't be able to just keep on waiting for the swelling in the leg to go down to seal up the fasciotomies, they would have had to do skin grafting, and it would have left like a more permanent kind of scar kind of thing, and it would have looked kind of wacky. But yeah, so now I have
Nice
a
job,
nice
William.
metal rod in my leg, which is epic. It's permanent, so I think that's kind of cool. Uh, and then, don't get me wrong, it hurt immensely, but it's, I'm a big boy. It's just a broken leg. But yeah, so after they sealed that up, they put me on this weird kind of small version of the vac, which is just to kind of like keep the packaging in, I guess, because they were able to seal it up somehow, which is awesome. Yeah, I have a follow up on the 5th and whatnot, but it was kind of hard coming to the realization that of how lucky I was to just survive the accident. It's not something that a lot of people want to think about when they go through something like this, but yeah, no, the doctors were absolutely just stunned at the fact that there was nothing more. It was just the leg. Don't get me wrong, the leg's bad. But, just abrasions, scars, bruising, but generally okay. That's not what you would expect. But yeah, so they're still looking for the guy who hit us, but I'll be okay. It's just there's going to be a recovery period, so I mean, this may sound kind of silly, like, why are you even worried or focused on this? But YouTube videos aren't going to be as frequent while I'm recovering. But it's something I like to do for fun. I mean, I'm literally holding a straw right now, trying to talk into the void of this camera. But yeah, I figured I'd update you guys on what was going on, what I've been doing. Recovery has been very good so far. It's been almost 2 weeks since the accident, and I'm able to, wiggle my toes, bend my foot up. I'll show you real quick, actually. Now you don't just have to take my word for it. Check this out. Oh, where is it? Where's my foot? Oh, there we go. So check this out. I can almost bend it back a little bit. That's flexion. Because when you have your foot like this, the muscles are shortened. But when I do my PT for physical therapy for recovery, I'm gonna need to be able to do more than just I'm gonna need to be able to walk again, which will happen, I promise. But yeah, so 8 weeks until I can put any weight on this bad boy, and then it's gonna be very slow. But yeah, I've gotten used to using crutches. It's a lovely workout, but that's it for the update. Look forward to some exciting videos in the future. The documentary, I don't know if I'm going to try to attempt finishing editing that while I'm recovering, because that is one of the much bigger projects. I have a lot of exciting things planned, but yeah, thanks for tuning in. Y'all have a good one. Ta-ta for now.